Sten Luminaledge. Every evening, Sten Luminaledge performed the same quiet ritual. He would stand at the window of his small, cluttered apartment, watching the sky bleed from orange to violet behind the city's skyline. He would trace the faint, shimmering patterns of the aurora that sometimes graced the northern horizon, a phenomenon no one else seemed to notice. His heart ached with a quiet, persistent longing, a feeling that there was a deeper, more resonant song to the world, one that he was meant to hear but remained just beyond his grasp. One Tuesday, as Sten sorted through a delivery of old books for his shop, his fingers brushed against a binding made not of leather, but of what felt like cooled, hardened light. The book fell open to a page depicting a great, coiling serpent woven from the colors of the aurora itself. As he read the unfamiliar script, the words seemed to whisper directly into his mind. A single, clear sentence. The edge of light is fraying. The guardian sleeps. Find the first mirror. Sten slammed the book shut, his heart hammering. This was nonsense, a prank, a trick of the light. He shoved the strange volume to the back of a high shelf, determined to forget its impossible whisper. For days, he tried to return to his routine, but the ordinary sounds of the city now felt like a dull roar, masking a silence he had never noticed before, a silence that felt like waiting. His reluctance broke during a walk through the rain-slicked streets. An elderly shopkeeper, Elara, who sold crystals and rare inks, beckoned him inside. "You look like you've heard the wind speaking," she said, her eyes twinkling. Without him saying a word, she seemed to understand. "The path is not for the fearless, Sten, but for the willing. The book did not choose wrong. Listen not with your ears, but with the silence between your heartbeats." That night, Sten took the book down. Holding it, he focused on the silence within him, on the space between breaths. The world outside his window dissolved. The city lights melted away, replaced by a vast, starlit tundra. A path of shimmering frost led into a forest where the trees were made of solidified moonlight. He took a hesitant step, then another, leaving his old life behind as he crossed into the unknown. The luminous forest was both beautiful and perilous. Shadows moved with a mind of their own, and the ground sometimes gave way to pools of pure darkness. Sten learned to navigate by the faint hum of the book in his pack. He was not alone. He allied with KL, a pragmatic trapper who knew the safe paths through the shifting glades, and Lyra, a fierce warrior whose family had long guarded the borders of this realm, though the true heart of the light had been lost to them. Their journey led them to the mouth of a cavern that pulsed with a deep, rhythmic light. This was the source of the whispers, the lair of the slumbering aurora serpent. A deep, primal fear settled in Sten's chest. To enter was to confront the reason for the fading light, to face the possibility that he was not the savior the whispers hoped for, but merely a witness to an ending. Inside the cavern, they found not a monster, but the magnificent serpent, its light guttering weakly, ensnared by thorny vines of pure void that fed on its brilliance. The supreme ordeal was not a battle, but a race against time. Sten had to use the knowledge from the book to weave a counter-frequency of light, a task requiring immense concentration, while Kael and Lyra fought back the physical manifestations of the void. One misstep, one note out of tune, and the light would be extinguished forever. As the last vine dissolved, the aurora serpent rose, not in aggression, but in gratitude. He coiled gently around Sten, and in that moment, he did not hear words, but felt understanding. The revelation was a symphony of interconnectedness. Every act of creation, every moment of compassion was a thread in a great tapestry of light. The first mirror was not an object, but the human capacity to reflect and magnify the world's beauty. The return journey was different. The forest seemed brighter, the path clear. Sten carried the serpent's revelation within him, a quiet, humming knowledge. He saw the same light he had woven in the cave, now reflected in the frost on the leaves and in the eyes of his companions. He was no longer an outsider seeking a song, but a note within the song itself. Back at the threshold to his own world, a final shadow, the essence of the void, rose to block their way, feeding on Sten's doubt that he could carry this light back into his ordinary life. The final test was to believe. He stood firm, not as a warrior, but as a conduit, channeling the pure, simple memory of a kind word, a beautiful sky, a shared hope, the very things the void could not comprehend. The shadow shattered against this undeniable truth. Sten Luminaledge stood again at his apartment window. The city was the same, but he was transformed. He no longer watched the aurora with longing, but with recognition. He opened his shop each morning, and in the quiet exchanges with his customers, in the sharing of stories and books, he saw the same light he had fought for, reflected and renewed. The balance was restored not in a distant realm, but here, in the ordinary, beautiful act of connection.